Before I bring in Jason Cole here, I want to reset something here a little bit about this so-called story from the Athletic about Aaron Rodgers. I just want you guys to understand something that what people will do. They'll make stories and put anonymous sources out there. Ask yourself this question: if Aaron Rodgers was trying to get his general manager fired, why would the Packers draft a guy and then give him 2 years later $150 million? I mean, they signed him to that $150 million deal after. Boy, that's some adversarial relationship you have with your GM. Nobody said those two guys liked one another at the end. Thing went south. But so you drafted a quarterback. He wins the MVP. Then you give him $150 million. And then you say you tried to get the guy who gave him $150 million fired. All right. Let's sift through all this stuff here. Our friend Jason Cole joins us now. Don't forget. And I know him. He'll side with his guys. It's all right. I got it. I know. I'm the player. You're the guy here. I know. Come on, man. Have you ever put a story out, Jason, where you said anonymous source?
Well, yeah, I've put out a lot of stories with anonymous sources.
Yeah,
but they're actually were people, yes.
But you have integrity.
Depends on who you're talking to, but okay.
I think you do. Yeah. By the way, make sure you go to Amazon, and Jason's got a book here that I think every father and mother who has an aspiring, not just athlete, aspiring. I'll leave it there. You can fill.
If you got a kid who's playing sports or doing something fun or is singing or doing some activity where they're going to be on stage and everybody's going to look at them, or they're going to be on the field and everybody's going to look at them, buy the book. It's a good piece of advice to get you through what you are about to do yourself or what you're about to face along the way.
Love it. Jace, does D-Hop have anything left in the tank, in your opinion, to change a team's fortunes on potentially being a Super Bowl favorite?
Ooh, Super Bowl favorite?
Can he change the room for your – like if you put him on the Jags or you put him on Kansas City, not that they need him. They won without him.
Yeah.
But
I think he would help with the Jags because they don't have – their receivers aren't big post-up type of guys generally.
They got Ridley on the other side who they're working in off that suspension.
Ridley's more of a complimentary wide receiver. He's not a number one. And he's more of a speed guy. He's not a big physical guy. I think D-Hop would help in Jacksonville. I think he helps a lot of things. Is he a pure number one where you're throwing 110, you're throwing 150 passes, expecting to get 100 to 120 catches out of him during the season and have him change the game? Probably not. You probably can't depend on him to play a full season like that, but I think can you spot him in and can be a 60 to 70 catch guy who is really good for you in the red zone and creates matchup problems depending on how you work him against certain coverages and certain secondaries. Absolutely. I think he's a valuable part. He's not worth the money they were paying him, and nobody was going to pay that salary.
And especially with the cap hits, too, they weren't going to pay it here. And for those who think he's going to get $23 million on May 31st, when most of the caps are set right now, in my opinion, I think he's high. Would you wait for the trading deadline? Would you let to see how the thing plays out and maybe somebody gets a little bit anxious?
Well, I thought they cut him today. Didn't they officially?
They officially cut him.
They officially cut him. Yeah. So, he's out there. Look, I think
he's not getting $23 million, Jason.
Well, not unless there's a ton of incentives, and that includes the Super Bowl MVP incentive. Yeah, you're right, but you can build a contract that has some big numbers for him if he's able to come back on it. So it's a make good contract, real contract. That's not what we traditionally know as, he's getting a 3-year, $60 million contract with 30 guaranteed. No, he's not getting anything like that. But he'll get a contract where there are some really good make good numbers and some things that, if he gets say 60, 70, 80, 100 catches along the way, that builds up and postseason builds and then et cetera, et cetera. But like to me, I would put him on the Ravens. I think he can be really good with a guy like Lamar Jackson. I would put him on
How about the Cowboys then?
Jacksonville. Yeah, I would put him on the Cowboys. I think he's better than what they've got. Um,
You think
you
DeAndre
know,
Hopkins is better than CeeDee Lamb?
no, no, no. I think CeeDee Lamb's the guy. He's the
Okay.
engine of their receiving core. I'm talking about get a guy who creates matchup problems for you. And I think that's what DeAndre Hopkins does for you. He creates matchup issues for you at this stage of his career. Now, the big question, and I don't know this, is physically, can you maybe get another season or two out of him? Whereas, a couple of years ago, we were asking the same kind of question about Julio Jones, and we got the answer. The answer was no. Julio couldn't keep it together physically anymore to do it. And that question remains with DeAndre Hopkins. The answer is probably that's why you spot him in and you don't play him a full season. You rest him here a game or two here or there, and you hopefully make him get through the season and you're ready for the playoffs with him.
Do you believe I made a comment in the last hour here? I think that the Eagles are the only team in the NFC that can win the Super Bowl. I think the AFC is so loaded that there's nobody else until San Francisco figures out the quarterback position. Call me and let me know when they figure that thing out. They haven't.
Well,
Is it true?
like it's going to be Brock. It's going to be Brock Purdy, and San Francisco has the defense to win a Super Bowl because defense. You can win defensive games in a Super Bowl situation.
You think they're better
So
than 40? You think they're better than Philly?
no, I didn't say that. I think
Okay.
Philly's a better team. I think Philly's a better team, and they proved that on the field. Now, I would, you'd like to have seen a fair fight, where San Francisco has the quarterback all game, et cetera. But no, I think Philly's better. And Philly, comes within a play of winning the Super Bowl last year. I just think I would say this. I think San Francisco's defense for a playoff situation is slightly better than Philly's defense in a playoff situation. Because I just think I and we're talking about degrees. We're not talking
Yeah.
huge gap. I just think
Slivers.
I think the 49ers defense is a little bit better than Philly's defense. And you can give me all the stats you want about this and that. I just when you watch them both play, San Francisco's defense looks like they can really truly shut some people down. Whereas Philly does it with a little bit more smoke and mirrors, especially on the back end.
Is Geno Smith a one-year wonder? I mean, Jace, 90% of his career has been just unimpressive.
Well, what are you wondering though? Like, he wasn't a superstar last year. He was okay, right? Like, can
He
he
had
be
better passing
continue to
numbers
be
than Hurts.
yeah, okay. We can talk numbers all you want. When you watched him play, did he scare you?
No.
No. When he watched him play, you go, this is a good average starting quarterback in the NFL, right? He's as I always like to say, he is some derivation of Alex Smith.
How dare
A
you
little bit
bring
better.
perspective into what the position should look like anyway on a normal basis?
Well, I mean, but he's just an average guy, like he gets you through a season. Can you go 8-9, 9-8? Yeah, if you got some superstars around him, maybe you're a little bit better. If you don't, you're a little bit worse. But he's your prototype league average guy. You got to pay him because you got to have one. But he ain't a superstar. He's not that guy. And that's why they were flirting with the idea of taking Anthony Richardson if the circumstances had fallen right.
Do you think that the Cowboys have been an upgrade at quarterback with Dak since Tony Romo, or do you think it's been pretty much the same?
What's that old song from the Talking Heads? Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever
Maybe
was.
Dak. Well, you can't say he protected the ball because last year he led the league in interceptions.
I mean, he's
Like when you
again.
see Dak, do you see Kirk Cousins?
I see a little bit better. I see a little bit better player than Kirk, but I don't. But it's not. It's not overwhelmingly better. It's the same old thing. Third down. When it comes to third down and critical, right? Third down, you're in a playoff game. It's 3rd and 8. And you got to fit one in a tight window, and you got about 4 or 5 passes like that to get yourself through a really critical game, either late in the regular season or it's in the playoffs. And Dak Prescott is your guy. How many of those passes do you expect to complete if you got to throw 4 or 5 of them? 2?
Right.
The great ones do 4. The great ones do 3 or 4. The good ones do 2. The bad ones do 0 or 1. Dak is in that 1 or 2 range. He misses on those critical throws in critical situations when the pressure is on. It's just that's what he is. He's but he's got ability. He's got look. Always remember, you got to get through the regular season to even put yourself in position to be in a playoff game like that. Okay, so that maybe if you're lucky and everything goes right, you can avoid having to have your quarterback have to make 4 or 5 big plays in a game, right? That's what you're hoping for with Dak Prescott. Well, that's worth a lot of money.
Yeah,
just
but
to
when
get to
I
that point.
see him, Jason, and I
Mhm.
look at Dak Prescott and I'm paying him $49 million, I don't see a Super Bowl. I don't see why I should, at the end of this year, extend him when I just don't see. I mean, look, when I look at
Hey,
Josh
remember
Allen,
the year? Let's just play this though. You want to go back? Who was the kid? Quinn Carter. What was his name? What was the
Quincy
quarterback?
Carter.
Yeah, you want to go
Quincy
back to that?
Carter.
You want to go back to Quincy Carter?
No,
You want to go back?
no,
You want to
I
go
don't
back?
want to
Do
go.
you want to go back to that? Do that merry-go-round that you had post Aikman to Roma, which did have a little Bledsoe in there, but Bledsoe like trying hard at the end of his career to try and kind of keep it together, right? Like, I mean, like everybody says this. Oh, the guy's not quite worth it. You got to find guys who can play the position consistently. You got to find guys who can make you competitive week in and week out. Dak Prescott does that. For all of his faults, he's really good. Is he special like a Mahomes? Is he special like some of the other great, the Brady's in the world? No, he's not. He's had enough time to prove that, and he's not done it yet. But I think that this era of quarterbacking is coming back down, okay? Where you don't have to necessarily have those guys, especially on the NFC side. Look, Jalen Hurts. I really like Jalen Hurts. But is he truly that special guy? Yeah.
We'll see. I think we need
Yeah,
more
we'll see. We'll see.
consistency.
But we don't
No,
know.
I don't know.
Right. So you're just trying, like, okay, can I get through the NFC with Dak Prescott, maybe get to a Super Bowl if I improve other things around my team? I think I got a shot. And then I'm taking one game against whatever comes at me from the AFC. Is he Joe Burrow? No. Is he, Josh Allen? No. Is he this guy? And even Josh Allen is kind of up and down,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean Justin Herbert up and down. The guys, who are the guys that you really truly trust in the AFC side? You trust Aaron Rodgers to make those kinds of throws, right? You trust Joe Burrow to make those kind of throws. You trust Patrick Mahomes, okay? And then there's another level down. I mean, Baltimore's got the same situation. They just paid a guy for 5 years who I don't think is in a playoff situation. I don't think he's better than Dak. I'd rather have Dak in a big playoff game than Lamar at this point in time. But I know that the beauty of both Dak and Lamar is I'm going to get to that playoff game and I'm going to have a shot. And that's hard to do.
Jason, Chris Long was talking with Howie Roseman yesterday, and Chris made a great point. And since you're a Hall of Fame voter too, I wonder how you look at this when it comes to players, teams, and how you evaluate it. Chris said something. He goes, the 2017 Eagle championship team won the Super Bowl, obviously, but Chris thought the 2022 team was better. Now, I looked at it like that, and I thought this for a second. Can you really look at a team and for 7 minutes of football in the fourth quarter really make a distinction on how good that team is by the fact that they did not get the ball back? There were mistakes in the game. You can dissect it. I'm not really dissecting the game. But how do you look at that? Because to me, I think the lesser team won the Super Bowl because I look at the roster the Eagles had. I think it's the best roster they've had in the Super Bowl era.
Well, all right, let me turn.
How do you look at that?
Let me put it this way. I often say it this way. If teams were to play, say, a 5 or 7 games,
right?
Like this was a series.
Like in the
baseball,
NBA.
In the NBA or baseball or hockey, that kind of thing. Where over a longer period of time, the team that has more talent generally wins, right? If Kansas City and Philadelphia were to play 7 games, you would bet Philadelphia would win 4 games much more often, right? Than you would bet Kansas City.
Yeah.
But in any one game, those differences become, tougher. Okay, less significant.
So you think they're more magnified in games like that? That every inch and yard.
I think that the chances of one team winning one game or at any one given situation are much higher than beating a team. The lesser team. The lesser team has a better chance of winning one single game. This is just playing game theory. But they can win one game versus winning a 7-game series. That's just the way that it always plays out. So yeah, Kansas City won one of the times that I would say they could win a championship. Like I think they would win 2 or 3 games out of 7. Well, what happened in the Super Bowl is they got one of those games came up that they can win. It was a high-scoring game. It was a bit of a track meet. They got their running game going in the second half. They controlled the ball. They got a call to go their way at a critical moment. All those things happened, and they ended up winning the game. But yeah, overwhelmingly, do I think Philadelphia is a better team? And to take it to your point that you started with, do I think this Eagles team was better than the Eagles team that won a championship? Yes, I think it was more complete. There were fewer holes in this team that got to the Super Bowl title. But that team with Nick Foles and Doug Peterson, they got hot at the right time. Everything came together for them.
To your point, they had the moment.
They had the moment. They got the plays going. They had the moment against the Patriots team, which was probably better than them. Not a lot better, but better. Yeah. And so the exact thing that allowed the Eagles to win a championship one year is the same thing that allowed the Eagles to lose this championship this last year. And that's just what happens in one game. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes.
Last question for you here. Do you look when you're evaluating Hall of Fame candidates? Like, I know that you cannot believe. Well, Trent, the stupid argument always, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl and Dan Marino and Dan Fouts didn't. Nobody in their right mind is going to go, that quarterback's better than those two.
Trent Dilfer would never say that he's a better player.
I know. I mean, nobody's ever going to confuse Joe Flacco for Dan Marino.
No, I would say this. Winning championships is the point of the game. So if you win championships, you get a credit point for that. It doesn't make you a better player, but it is an argument in your favor because the point of this exercise is to win titles. And if you win enough titles, it increases your argument. Now, does that put Bill Romanowski in the Hall of Fame? No.
Does it put Eli?
That's a tough one. Now that's
He's
a really, real.
117 and 1, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, and it's Brady. But if you look
Right.
at the last 10 years, Jace, I don't know.
Well,
Why do I
that's
see an overblown Jim Plunkett?
Oh no, Jim Plunkett doesn't. Jim Plunkett gets more credit because, in my mind, and I'm a Stanford guy,
Me
so
too.
we got to do this. But Plunkett played with a very bad organization, and the first 5 was 6 years, whatever he played with the Patriots.
Terrible. He was Rookie of the Year.
Right, and he got crushed. He just got crushed.
Then he went to
physically and
San
mentally.
Fran. Then he went to the Raiders.
Yeah, and he just got healthy and he got with a good organization. Look, I always look at Eli this way, and this is a problem. I think Eli held up his end of the bargain in New York. He won 2 Super Bowls.
He did.
Right? And he played in a vicious environment that kills quarterbacks.
Rivers would have won 4.
With the Giants?
With the Giants. And Coughlin.
It's great supposition. I have no idea. Okay? But Eli won his 2, had a great career, played a lot of his career, and there were a lot of Sundays that he woke up and played, and you would have thought there was a mega kegger at the Delta Chi house the night before, right? And they're and he's just winging the ball all over the place, right? And maybe it's going to my guy, and maybe it's 5 picks. There were a lot of games like that with Eli. But Eli, in critical moments, also knew how to shut it down and play with every bit of talent he had. And I would argue this: physically, he was more gifted than his brother. Concentration-wise and importance of football and live or die by every last play, not the same as Peyton. Okay?
Don't you see Phil Simms, Jim Plunkett, and Eli Manning?
That's why it's going to be a brutal argument. It's going to be brutal, and I got a hard time as much as probably Peyton. We're going to have a conversation one day, and Peyton's going to kill me for saying this. I got a hard time voting for his brother, but I'm going to listen.
Woo!
I got a hard time voting for Eli, but
Tone, make sure you get this one.
Yeah, I might do it. I mean, my decision is not made because I don't have to worry about the decision. But there are a lot of really interesting arguments in Eli's favor, and the 2 Super Bowls are really important to that. Okay, and I do think that, look, Richard, as much as you talk about Philip Rivers would have won 4 titles, Richard Todd got destroyed by New York. Plenty of quarterbacks got destroyed playing in New York. Very few have handled the pressure of playing in New York that effectively. And Eli did it. Eli was a trooper. He made them a competitive team along with that defense. A lot of things went right. So it's an interesting argument. But God,
I know.
Boy, there's just a lump in my throat going, like that. It's a hard one to swallow, man. It really is a hard one to swallow because, again, I come back to there were a lot of Sundays where he looked like hungover Eli, just like winging it for the Delta Chi's. He just did. Okay.
Hey,
and I think he would admit that.
Jace, I appreciate it. This has been another spectacular conversation. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate it.
Anytime, dude. We'll talk to you later.
You got it. The great Jason Cole. I appreciate you coming aboard. As always, please hit the like button.